Okay, so that's our first riff. We got big 3. We got basically like a G minor 7 type of a chord. So we got 3, and then we're coming down to the next string. 5, 3, 3 on the next 2. And we come back to that 5 on that D string. So it's... And if you get a bar going there in those 3s, you can get all those, bring the pinky in on the D string. So it's... So once again, the first part, and this is kind of a palm muted thing as well. 3, and then 5, 3, 3, 5, 5 again, and then the 5 on the A string. 5, 3, 3, 5, 5, 3, 5, hammer. So we got. 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, 5, and then 5, 3, 3, 5, 5, hammer. So we're going to do that 3 times. The 4th one's going to have a little different ending. So let's try that. 3, 4. Now this 4th one, it's going to have an extra 3, 5 at the end there. So 5, 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. So the end of that is. Okay, so whole thing. 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's our next part. So we're going to have 7 and 5, 7 on the D, to the 5 on the G. We have a pull off, 5 to 4 on the G. We got the 7th fret of the D, back to that 4 there. So we got. Now we got a pull off on the 7, 5 on the D. 2 quick hammers after that. So we got. And then we're going to go back to the 5, kind of pause for an 8th note there at the beginning of the new measure. So it's basically the same thing, just doesn't have those kind of lead in, the first lead in notes. We got. Here we're going to have 5, 7 on the A, 5 on the D. Kind of ends with the same stuff. So let's look at everything so far in that. We got. Now the 4th part of this. So we're going to have a 5, 4 pull off. It's a 7 on the D 3 times in a row. And then 4 to 7. Okay, then we get into a sliding octaves thing. So it's going to be like, it seems like it might be, I think he uses his pinky on a lot of stuff, like his power chords and things. So he's doing these sliding octaves thing, probably with his pinky on this 9 on the D and the little 7 there. The 12 and the 10, so we just take them up 3. Going to slide all the way up to that 17 and 15. And then we're doing the 9 and 7. Down 2 and back up. So we got. So that's a little interesting back and forth interplay there. Check out the tab on this. I kind of just feel this one out like by sliding up the octaves. So you know you're going from the 9 and 7 up to the 10 and 12 to the 12 and 14. Then you got to jump back here and go back down. So that was the same as the first one. Then we got. So we got 9-7, 12-10, 14-12. Slide into the 17-15. Go back to the 14-12. We're gonna have a big E string, E power chord to D power chord, and then B to E power chords, and again. Now we're gonna go 7, 8 to 9 chromatic power chords. Back to those power chords. So let's take a look at that solo there. We got, that's a B, C, and C sharp power chord. Now we're gonna have 9 to 11 on the D, 9-11, and then 9-11 on the G also, and then 9-9 going down those strings. 12 on the B, bend that one, and then we're gonna go 12, 9, and then little 12, 2 bends. So we got, and then we're gonna have, so that's 12, 9 on the little one, and then 9, 12 on the B, little 9, 12, 9, 9. So. Now we're gonna get into bending this 11 on the G. So that was 11, 9, 9, 12 on the B string, 2 bends on the 11 again, and then one more of those things is gonna end with 9, 12, 9. So. Okay, so that's everything so far. Then we're gonna have. So this is a quick one with an up and down bend and a pull off, and then a pull off to that lower string 11. This is like a 9, 11 bend, 9, 9, 12, 9, bend on the 11 to the 9 there. So then we're back to those power chords. Twice. And then we get into the main rhythm. I'm pretty sure Tony Iommi would use it with his pinky there. What he's doing is a G power chord to a B power chord, 6 and 8, kind of sliding it down, and then hitting those top 3s of the G minor 7 chord. So we got. And then we kind of palm mute it more. We get more into like a chord that's just hitting these middle ones. It could be like the part of the power chord. It kind of sounds to me like it's got that flat 7 in there. So it'd be like. So you could keep it like a power chord, but you could kind of add that minor 7 in there. It kind of feels like there's a bit of that going on. So we got the 2 different parts of this. We got. Let's try that together. 2, 3, and. So it kind of chills out and goes to a lower part of the chord when he starts doing the verses and stuff. So then we're going to get into a riff. That's 3 to 5 on the D string, 2 quick hammers. So that's 3, 5 on the A, 3 on the D, back to that 5. Whole step up and down on that G right there. So we got. We'll do it again. Now we're going to have some unison bends. that kind of a thing. Okay, so those unison bends are 3 on the 2nd string with 5 on the G string. Go up 3 frets, the 6 and 8. 2 more, 8 and 10. We're gonna do that 3 times in a row. Then do 1 more after that, the 10 and the 12. And this comes in on the end of 4, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that 3rd one, we add that thing to it. Now we're up here in the G minor pentatonic up here on the 15th fret. We're gonna have 17 bend on the G, 15, 15, 3 bends on that 18, and then take it down, pull it off to 15. We got that little 18. And we're gonna hit that one again and pull it off. Then we're gonna have 2 little triplet type things, 18, 15 to 18 on the 2nd. So we got these 2 triplets. Another triplet here, 2nd string to the 17th fret, G string, and then you got your bend up with your 2 notes there, 15s. And we got a pull off, 2nd string, 17, 15 over here. So we got. And then we have one more riff here. We're gonna have this 17 again, the 15s, pull off. We got 17, 15. The tab says 15 on that one. It's probably that 17 though. The whole thing would be. So we're gonna have these 3s down here on the 2nd and 3rd strings. 5, 3, 5. Little and pickup note there. This new phrase, little 3 there. So we got. Now we're gonna get into a. That's a 5 bend, 3, 3, 5, 5, 3. We're gonna do that 3 times. And the 4th one goes 5, 3, and then pull off to that one there. We're back into that riff. All right, then we get into a power chords triplet. All right, then we get into the G5 power chord. We're gonna do triplets on this. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2. So it's really good practice just to try to do all downstrokes with that. I guarantee if you don't practice this a lot, you will not be able to play it at the speed that they do on that album. So let's try it out. 2, 3, and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. I guarantee that was not even fast enough. But then we're moving up to this new thing. A new old thing. That's the same as we did before with F7-5. Okay, and like I said, that's 4 times of that. Initially, I thought it was 3. And then you got the. You got your E to D power chords again, and B to A. Then we got our main rhythms. Got that again. Now we have this last riff. So it's 10 to 11 on the B, 12 on the G, 10 on the B, 10, 12 on the G. And you can do the hammer on in this first one if you want to try to keep up the speed of the recording. That little hammer on helps me keep up the speed, and then when you get up to speed, you can try to pick them all. And you're trying to go down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. You might even experiment with like different places to play that. And see which way for the picking downs and ups, works for you. Okay, so that's our basic opening here. So we got this opening 7, these E notes. You gotta wait a long time. You do a hammer and then you go. So you do an open 7, but just to the 5. You don't want that open with it, so you want to just hear that 5. So once again, you got. One thing about the Black Sabbath stuff is like, don't worry if you're like slightly out of tune a little bit. That was part of his whole game, was like everything's a little bit out of tune. It's like extra sinister that way. So like you don't even want it in tune, but you do want that one note by itself. Now here we had the open and the 11 going into the 12. Again, a little bit out of tune the whole time. Again, just the 5. And then we got. So we had the 11 to the 12, the 14. Same stuff down here. So this one has a 7 before the 11. And then we get into so we got the power chord, that 12, 14, E power chord down to D power chord. And it's like. And then we get into. Okay, so we got that D to E power chord. You gotta listen for your drums and everything, the hi-hats and stuff. Okay, you got your vocal and everything coming in. Later on, you got. So you got a 4-2 open on the G, to 2 on the D. And Tony Iommi is always riding these high chords up here. He's not doing them down like low like that. Like he's doing them. Just seeing that Black Sabbath show the other day again reminded me of the whole thing. And he does a lot of pinky chords. Like he probably does it like with that pinky. We also have this fill. So that's just open and 2 on the D string. So we got. All right, now we're into the next part. We got the. Okay, so that is D to E power chords. And then G and that down chromatic, G flat to F. To the E. And that 12th fret G note on the G string. So we got. So that hammer-on, pull-off, trill thing is a 12, 14 on the D string. So we got. Do that one again. Now we have. So that's E, 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 E. Bottom 3 strings, 12s. E, 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 G. We got it. Okay, so that's like a dun, 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 and that's a 2 to open on the D. E to D. So E, 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 D, G. So. Okay, so our last 2 parts were. Then the next thing we have is these chords again. All right, then we get into a little solo bit. We're gonna have this. This is like a. It's like a Mixolydian mode thing. So it's got this 7, but a major third from a major scale. Gives it that interesting sound when used with that flat 7 of a minor scale. So that's what's really interesting about this whole thing, and he does that in a few songs. It's really, really cool. So we have the hammer, bass, pull off, bass, the big slide there, and then you continue from there. So. So you got 9s and 7s here. Then we get into that same riff again, but it has a different outcome. It's like. So we get into that E bass, and we're going to bend this 6th fret, this E flat note. Like that half step kind of into the E, right? There could be some interplay between the actual big E note. That kind of a thing. And then we're back for the last verse. So we got all that stuff. Right? now we have the ending of this tune. This part is called Luke's Wall. And I think Tony would do this with his pinky on this. We're going to have 12, 14, and 12. We're going to go. So see those strings? We just have the top 3 strings, the big 3 strings. Okay, so that's our riff. So we have this E power chord down to B on the 7th fret, up to the 10th fret, D. So we got. And then we come back into the riff, but only one time. We're gonna go. So that's 12 to 15 power chord, E to G power chords and back. We got the riff again. We got the E down to B to D again. And then we have this big riff. Okay, so that was the same type of stuff. So the whole thing is the same on these, is like E to D to C to B. Okay, so what we got there is open, open on the big E, and then 2, 3, 2 on the 5th string, and then open E again, then 2, 3, 2 on the E string. And there's 2 guitars, one of them split left, one of them split right, and one of them's going like picking the notes, and the other one's bending the notes a half step. So that's good practice to try to get that to sound like that 1 fret away half step with your bend. And you put those 2 together and mix them out, pan them out, and it sounds so cool. So let's try that. 3 and 4 and. Okay, so a lot of fun, that riff. Then we have the next riff, the verse riff. Okay, so the first riff only goes once. It's open, and then at the very end of that beat, you hit that E again, then you go to the 2 on the 5th string. So the 1, open, to the big 3, little half step bend there. So we got, and you got that vibrato is very important on these. Now this one goes bum, 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 bum. So 4 hits on the E. This riff is actually going to go 7 times. So let's say we did all 7 of those, then we're going to go back to the first riff. First riff. Keep going with that. So let's play these riffs together. Let's do this intro riff one time. So you can do either the bend riff or you can do the picked riff. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to do 4 times with the picked riff and then 4 times with the bend. If you want to try to do the opposite of me, so the bends first and then the picked, we can do that together. You can hear how it's like panned left and right in the album. So I'm going to pick them, you're going to bend them if you want. 3 and 4 and... Okay, let's try that verse riff together. So once again, it's... And then... And then we do that one 6 more times, that same chunk, 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 chunk. So let's try that. The full verse. 3, 4... Open E, we're going to hold that, and then we're going to have, so that's open 7, 6, to open 6, 5, to just 5 and 4 there on the A and D strings. So the first 2 have the E with them and the last one doesn't. So check out, listen to the timing on that and stuff. Then we get into the bridge part. We're going to have this power chord here. We're going to have the E power chord, 12 and 14 up here. So we have 12 and 14 down to 10 and 12 and back. And then we have the bottom 4 strings on the 12th fret. So that's the basic rhythm. Listen, and he mixes it up a lot and stuff. So take a look at the variations he does and everything. Listen nice and close with your headphones on and stuff. And then we're gonna get into this riff. Okay, so we're gonna hammer in 12 to 14 on the D. 12, 14, 12 on the G. Kind of bend that one up and down, that 14. let it come down, and then the second part. So hammer 12, 14, and then bend the 14, 12 to lower 14. And we do that all twice. So 3, 4. And then we're back to this part. So that's going to end up with the unison bend, 15 on the second string, 12 on the first string. Electric funeral. Kind of like pulls off to an open B there. You don't really have to do anything like that, but. So that's like 4 times of that. And, you know, use your discretion as if you want to get some kind of pull off note. But then we go to the 3 on the second string with the 5 on the third string. So we're going to go 3 bends. And then go to the 5 and 7. And then slide way up till around the 17th fret. And you hold that one and then you get back into. Verse. So easy enough, back to the 4 times, and you're back into the. So first we got a little slide down from the 12th fret, and then we're gonna go. So that's open in 3, and then open 1, 2 on the A string, down to the 2 on the D string. And we're gonna staccato that, we're gonna stop that note. Then we're gonna go back to this 2, that B note in the A string, to the 1 on the D string, so. That's 2 to open that time. 2, 1, 2, open. Then you got that first fret of the A string. You're gonna hold that for a second. Give it a little vibrato. Then we're gonna do a little thing. So that's an open. We hold that open a little bit, and then we do a pull off with the 1 to 0, and then we're gonna go to that 3 over here. So it's. So we do like 3 of those, and then we hold that A string. Now our last little riff in this is gonna be. That's 1 to 2 on the A string, down to 2 on the D string. Then your last thing is pull off this 2 to open, down to that 3 on the big E string, the G note. So. Okay, so that's the main riff of the intro here. So let's try to do that together nice and slow. 3, 4. Okay, let's try a little faster. 3, 4. Okay, Okay, so after you've done 4 of those, we're gonna go to this E power chord. So that's open on the big one and 2 and 2. That's a D power chord, so you got D string open, and the 2 and the 3 underneath it. You want to block the bottom string, so you just want to hear that power chord part of it. You can hit the A string kind of with it. A string kind of sounds good with the D power chord still, but up to you whether you want to just go. And then we got a quick little A string. So you could just do the 7, 6, 5 there on the A string, or you could kind of have a preliminary note with the A open. So the whole thing goes. So that time we just hit 1 D power chord. We're going to bend this 3 a little bit. And then we got O, 1, 2 on the A string to the E note, the 2nd fret of the D string. So let's look at what we got in this new part. So that time I think it only hits the D twice, and it does that same kind of walk down with this 7, 6, 5. And then we're going to end with. You do that with your pinky if you want. Or you could do it double. Make it bigger. He might be doing it like that. Okay, so let's look at the whole second part here from the E note, the E chord. Okay, now that was the second part of doing that kind of intro riff, that E minor pentatonic with the flat fifth kind of thing. So in the beginning of the song, we do that 4 times, and then we add that new part. All that. So after you've done that new part there, we go back to the original riff 2 times. So let's say this is the second of those 2. Now we start a totally new thing. This is the Into the Void theme. So this slows way down. It was like 100 beats per minute for that first part. This goes down to like 72, I think. So it's like. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing the big string open, and we're hammering on the 5th to the 7th on the A string. We're palm muting down here, so we get like the. So here'd be the note without palm mute. Here's a note with palm mute. So that's just where you put your palm down at the very end of the string, just so you can kind of control how much kind of noise is coming out of there. You know, how much is muted and how much is the actual note. So here we go again on this new part, Into the Void theme. Okay, so you're gonna do 2 of these hammers. So it's da-dee, bum, 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 da-dee, bum, 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 bum. And you just hit that 5th fret D note there, so. So that's a little half step bend up and down on the 5th fret E string, the A note there. So. Then the verse starts over that same type of thing, but he's going to have a little bit of a different riff that it kind of goes with Ozzy's vocal part. So it's like. So that's that 5th fret note, kind of bending, going to bend up and down. So there's going to be 4 sets of that thing back and forth, and then we're going to go. So that part, we're going to go back to the basic just 5th fret note with a little vibrato. So we had that 7, 6, 5, and 7, 6, 5 again on the big string. So you can kind of slide into that too. A little vibrato here and there when you want. And then we got that riff again. So you see it just had that riff twice in there with a little riff in between it, and it went back to its main riff. So basically, let's see, we got, let's do this last one of the verse. Let's be like the 4th one. Here we go. And again. These. Now we got another verse. So let's count that in and do that together for these last 2. A little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have that riff. And again. Now we got an E power chord. We're going to hang out there. So we got that. Hold that for a little. Let me come into this new double time feel riff. Okay, so that's 0-3-0-6-5-3-0. So 0-3-0-6, 5-3-0. When you go to that last 3 there, do a little slight bend on it. So that's going to go 12 times in a row. So let's say we already did 4. Let's do 8 of those. I'll count you in on it. 2, 3, 4. Come into a similar riff. We're in a slightly different kind of time thing here, but we got. Okay, so that was that whole section there. So it was 12 of those, and then you got 1 more of these, 1 more of these, and then that part is done, and we're back to. We're going to do 4 of those to set up the next verse, and let's get into the verse then. So I'm going to skip the last 2 of those to get into the next verse. So we got. Okay, at that point we're into a solo. The solo he uses E minor pentatonic. And what Tony Iommi does a lot is he gets into this E right here. He does that in a lot of his solos where he does that. The next note of the scale would be like the G note, so you have to bend an extra half step, so a step and a half. And then he'll get into the pentatonic stuff up here. So look at all your different pentatonic. That first solo he stays kind of in this mid-range type of thing. He might get a couple of these. I think about that little flat fifth. That kind of stuff. Then he'll jump up, like I say. So just mess around with that and you can improvise your own solos. You can listen for tricks that he's doing and stuff. Now we're going to have an interlude after 6 bars of that solo. It's going to go. So that's 7, 6, 5, and then 7 on the big string. So, and then kind of the same notes in the reverse order. So 5, 6, 7, 5, 7. So stuff like that. That's kind of the second one. So let's look at that new part we got. So that's bum, ba, bum on the E, and then kind of slide from the 2 to the 5 and give a little bend up and up. Same thing to the 8th. Then the 10th. And the 12th. And then we have a few of these things. The guitar fill. Guitar fill. So that one he's like. That kind of stuff. So Tony Iommi isms there. So check that out. So once we get into that, after we've done those fills, we have fills 4 times, and then we get back into another solo for 6 bars. And then after that solo gets rolling a little bit, we're going to get back into this riff, and we're going to be to the end of the song. So we got. And the song's over. All right, so the incredible Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath from Masters of Reality, Into the Void, probably my very favorite Black Sabbath song of all time. If anybody wants more info on the solo, there's plenty of tabs on the internet. You just got to kind of listen to it and keep working at it and try to get it just right. If anybody wants me to, I could do a little quick follow-up lesson and try to delve into that solo, but for now I'm going to skip it. All right, have a great day, y'all. Take care.